What's going on, everyone? So what I'm going to show you today is a little tutorial of how to install Ubuntu 7.10 using a Virtualbox on your PC. Now, a few things to note before we start. Now, for any of those people who don't know what Ubuntu is an open source Linux-based operating system. Now, what does that mean? Well, open source software or operating systems are those that the source code's easily accessible, and pretty much the people who use the software can submit bug fixes, patches, and allow the project and the operating system to grow as almost like a community-based project. Now, what is Linux, for any of you guys who don't know? Linux is an operating system which is pretty much based off the Unix kernel, which is what Apple uses for its Mac software, and it allows for different distributions, different styles, and it's pretty much just a different alternative to Windows and to Mac. If any of you watching are familiar with the Android operating system, that runs off a derivative of Linux. Now, so you go to the Ubuntu website, which is ubuntu.com. Now, what you're going to do is click Download Now. I'm not going to download because I already have my file downloaded, as you see down there. What you're going to want to do is click Ubuntu Desktop, and up here you're going to see 16.04.3 LTS. LTS means long-term support, which means that this is a distribution that the people at Ubuntu have released that they're going to continue to support longer than other distributions they may release, whether it be for fixing bugs, whether it be for people who use this within businesses. And as you can tell with the system requirements, it's not really that heavy on what it needs to run. A 2 gigahertz processor, 2 gigs of RAM, 25 gigs of free hard drive space. You know, it's not terrible, and it's not much of a resource hog. But for this purpose, we're going to go down to Ubuntu 7.10, which is the latest distribution. Now, feel free to use 16.0.3 if you want the long-term support in case you ever have any issues. Now, this is just a little survey, and you can donate. We're not going to do that. Just click Take Me to the Download. It should automatically download. Now, while this downloads, what you're going to want to do is, I'm going to use Oracle's Virtualbox for this project. Now, that's going to be located at virtualbox.org. You're going to be originally brought to this page. This is going to be the main page you see. You're going to click Download VirtualBox 5.2. Now, if you're using Windows like I am, I'm using Windows 10, you're going to click Windows Host, and it's going to download VirtualBox. Now, I'm going to have all these extra downloads going, so I'm just going to cancel them because I already have the files I need. Now, I'm going to install VirtualBox because I haven't yet. I also haven't used VirtualBox in a while, so I'm hoping it doesn't seem too much different than the last time I used it. Now, in order to run a virtual machine, your processor has to support it. I'm using a Intel i7, which allows for virtualization. Now, before you do any of this, make sure that your processor has support for a virtual machine so you know you're not wasting your time. Now, I'm just pretty much just going to go through all the basics, install this. To begin the installation, yeah, this is all good. It's going to reset the network. Just going to install. Now, this is probably going to take a while, so I'm going to pause the video here, and I'm going to get back to you when I have this up and running, and we're going to go from there. Okay, now that this is almost done, VirtualBox is going to prompt you through numerous points of this installation to install and allow through your firewall other things it may need, such as access to create virtual USB drives and a virtual network interface, which will use your own internet access. It's fine to just allow those if you want. It'll allow updates to come through and, everything to work smoother within the VirtualBox. Now, as you see, this is done, so I'm going to finish. It should open it right up. Hopefully. I see it on the bottom over here. Here we go. So, what you're going to want to do is click Create a New VirtualBox. It's going to ask you to name the operating system. I'm just going to do Ubuntu. It notices that it has a 32-bit version. I thought I would have a 64-bit, but alright. And notice it's a Linux type. It even brings up the logo. You're going to click Next. You're going to say how much memory you want to go to it. It says the recommended size is about a gig. I'm going to raise it a little bit. I have, I think, 16 gigs on here. You can create a virtual hard disk, which I'll do. It's going to ask you what type of image you want. You can just click the first one. A dynamic allocated hard disk will only use space, and it fills up. Yeah, we'll do that. I'm going to give it maybe about close to 30 gigabytes, only because I have a terabyte hard drive, and it's going to be fine. Now, what you're going to want to do is, I believe you're going to want to go into Preferences. And where is it? Actually, no, probably not. You're going to want to right-click, click Settings, and then under Processor, you're going to want to make sure your processor stuff is good. Here we go. You're going to go under Storage. You're going to add an optical disc. And then you're going to want to choose the Ubuntu image to run. And then you're going to click OK. So now you can start your Virtualbox. Let's hope I did this all right and it should run properly. Loads up the Virtualbox screen, and as you can tell, it's starting reading the disk image. I have auto keyboard turned on. We can just exit that for now. This will cause close. Please use the kernel for your appropriate. So apparently I downloaded the wrong image. So we're going to go back and download the right image. What you're going to want to do, ain't this embarrassing, is go in here and pretty much just suspend it. I should have closed it. We're going to remove this for now. Delete all files. Now let me go. Let me download the right image, and we're going to get back to this. Alright guys, here's actually what I figured I did wrong. Now, I had to go into my system BIOS, and my virtualization technology is actually disabled. Now, this is an HP machine. What you're going to want to do is go in there and click Enable. And then I'm going to exit saving changes. We're going to load back up Windows. And we're going to hope this works this time. Let's find out. I'll get back to you when I got it up and going. Alright guys, so it ended up being just like I thought. I enabled the virtualization technology, and it's allowing me to create a 64-bit virtual machine, which is why my image wasn't working before. So we're going to, again, set the RAM up to about 2 gigs. We're going to create the virtual hard disk. Go through this whole process again. I'll allow it for about 40 gigs. Just in case. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to go into the settings. Like I showed before. You're going to go into storage. You're going to create a new optical drive. You're going to choose the disk. You're going to allow your disk, when it goes, so it was a little slow. You're going to allow your disk to be your Ubuntu ISO. And now you're going to start the machine. And I swear if this doesn't work, I give up. So you're going to still get that stupid little message up here about the active keypad. So now it's going to start loading again. Let's see if I can make this full screen, which I can't because you're going to have to install, I think, something afterwards that allows it to become a full screen project. Now it's showing that there's a firmware error, but I don't know if that's common. Okay, so it's still going, which is good. What can I do? Full screen mode on here? So full screen mode just kind of brings you to pretty much what I already saw. But alright, that's fine. As you can see, this is still loading. It's weird seeing myself in a reflection while doing this, but alright. Over there, you heard it? Okay, so it does actually come up full screen mode, which is good. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to install Ubuntu. Now, by doing this as a virtual machine, you're really not hurting your hard drive or anything, which is good. For doing this, you're going to download the updates, and you're going to install the third-party software for your graphics, your Wi-Fi, your MP3, and, you know, all your other stuff. Now what's cool is when you have this in full screen mode, it basically acts as your primary OS. So if you have nothing running in the background through Windows, this should go relatively quickly. So after this, you're going to click continue. It's going to continue to load. Figure it has to extract all the files off the ISO as it does this. What you're going to want to do is erase your disk to install. And you're not erasing your actual hard disk, you're erasing your virtual disk. You're going to get a message like this. It's going to be formatted as an ext format. You're going to click continue. Select your time zone. I'm in New Jersey, so we're going to click New York. English. Whatever your language is, definitely click that so you know what's going on. My name, we're going to go with my YouTube name, so we're going to do G392. Pick a password. It says my password is fair, thank God. And I'm going to have it so it logs in automatically, because I'm the only one who uses my computer. So you're going to click this, and I believe it should start the installation process, which it is. It's copying the files over. Now this might take a while, guys, depending on your hardware. But you're going to get these nice little messages that basically teach you what Ubuntu is as we go along, and what's going on in the latest versions, which is always cool. A lot of operating systems do this just to familiarize you with the product. It looks like you can click and get new stuff. Yep, it's cool. So you can find even more software. Now, I used to toy around with this operating system a lot when I was younger. I haven't had it installed, and I think ever on this laptop for that matter. But playing around with Linux is definitely a lot different than playing around with Windows, if that's what you're most familiar with, and even Mac. Open source software allows you to pretty much have the source code to anything, as I think I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and be able to look into it, kind of redevelop it for your own purpose if you know what you're doing. And, allow the ability to submit bugs as they come up and see if you can find solutions for them. Pretty much open source means anyone can get into it, and it's more of a community-based atmosphere, for that matter. If you look up on the Ubuntu forums and all types of Linux forums, you see people all working together to pretty much make this work. Now I'm going to let this install. It's going to take a while. I'll come back little by little, let you know how the updates are going, what's going on with it, and then I'll show you the finished product. Alright everyone, so as you see, you finished copying the files, and now it's installing the system. I also opened up this little terminal window down here to see what it's doing. Before it looked like this, what you could honestly just do is click the little arrow. It brings up the terminal box. You can watch what it's doing. See, now it's retrieving files. This should install relatively quickly depending on the settings you use to set up your Virtualbox. If you allocate enough RAM to the system so it can keep pulling as needed. You just saw there was a nice little big jump there. It's creating the users. Configuring target system. It's going along nice and smooth. And look, it's almost done. Little by little. Right now, what is it doing? It's working with a package, it looks like. So I'm going to let this do this. I'm going to pause, or not. Looks like I don't need to pause the video. It kind of just went right through that. Now this should be done hopefully within the next minute. Figure out the bootloader. Now the bootloader Ubuntu installs is called Grub. There are a lot of other bootloaders you can use out there, but Grub's very basic. It's like a DOS interface. You would just select the operating system. If you were doing this as a native install, not through a Virtualbox, it would show Windows and it would show Ubuntu. You would just click the one you wanted to load and it would load right up. And it looks like it's finishing the installation here. It's removing a lot of temporary files, it looks like. Which this might take a little bit, but it should run through them nice and quickly. So at this point, while this is going to continue to do this is where I'm going to pause the video, and I'll hopefully pick back up when the next step shows, just show you what's going on and what we need to do from there. Alright guys, so we're just about done installing the system. Just finishing up its last little bits. Alright, now it says installation's complete. You will need to restart the computer in order to use the new installation. So you're going to click restart. Going to shut down Ubuntu. Please remove the media installation medium, and then please click enter. So I think what you're going to want to do here, if I'm not wrong, is go back into settings. You're going to want to go back into storage. Alright, cool. So it's showing that the CD is done with it. So you can go back in here. And I think you're just going to click enter if this all goes well. Now it should reboot. And it should load up and you should be fine. And it's still showing that firmware bug. There should be a way to clear that out. I'm going to see if an update when you first start up the system works. It might. It should. But if not, that'll be a video for another time. The system looks like it's going to be loading fine. Now there might be a chance, for whatever reason, it still tries to boot to the boot media of the image file, which it didn't look like it was. If we went in there and checked, you could see that, where is it, under storage, it's not showing the image that I had, which is a good sign. So it should installed fine, and it looks like it did. Look at that. So it's been a while since I've used Ubuntu. You're going to see that primarily you have Firefox web browser. Rhythmbox is still the primary MP3 player. You can do your files straight from here. The interface itself, if you're familiar with Macs, it's very similar to that. It's even looking very similar to Windows at this point in time. You go in your documents, your music, your desktop, and just pretty much do stuff like that. Up here, you're going to see your network. Now, I'm pretty sure it's going to show up as a wired network because it's tying through your own network of your computer. VPN, that's virtual private network. It's going to show your username. This should be settings, if I'm not mistaken. It is. That. Now, this is going to load. As I mentioned, depending how you set up your VirtualBox, what you allocated to be used as resources will show how fast it goes, or will allow how fast it goes. Now here's Amazon. Let's see if this is an actual app, or if this just loads it within Firefox. Alright, so settings popped up. It's showing there's no Wi-Fi adapter, which my laptop's running off Wi-Fi. But like I said, it's going to show up as a wired network due to using your own interface within your computer. Yep, and it looks like Firefox just pops up for Amazon, which it did. Now, if things haven't changed, let me just quickly show you how to update Ubuntu as the time comes and you need to update it. Wow, this is running really laggy. I should have probably thrown more resources into here. What is this? Ubuntu software. This is the it's almost like the Google Play Store. Here's where you can find all your apps that will work. Whether it be for audio, video, you can click on games, get some games on here. Oh, actually this pops up. Updated software has been issued since the release of Ubuntu 7.10. Do you want to install it? We might as well. It's just security updates and another update to the base. And it looks like that said common files for the graphical shell. It's just basic stuff. So we're going to click install. The updates are installing relatively quick. It said they were already downloaded. So guys, I'm pretty much just going to let these install, and I'm going to leave you with that. This is my tutorial of how to install Ubuntu 7.10. And my trial and errors, for that matter, using Virtualbox. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to now use your Virtualbox to explore everything Ubuntu has to offer, and to pretty much learn and see the differences between Linux and Windows, Linux and Macintosh, just Linux and everything you've probably ever used. And, a lot of you guys might see this and be relatively intrigued for how different it was. You might feel more comfortable using this. It's a really simplified interface. This runs off GNOME or GNOME for those who are just learning about it or who know Linux and have never used Ubuntu, even though there are, I believe, still KDE variants, which makes it look more like a traditional Windows desktop. So, any questions, leave them in the comments below. This has been my tutorial of how to install Ubuntu 7.10. Alright, for whatever reason Cortana decided to pick up. That was weird. Ubuntu 7.10, as I was saying, using a Virtualbox on your PC. So, check it out. Go have some fun. As always, thank you for watching, and have a good day.